This report brought to you by the Richmond Cllub, where investors and high-growth companies meet.
I'm Galit Solomon for the Richmond Report. According to the United Nations, the world's aging population is expected to more than double over the next 3 decades, hitting 2.1 billion by the year 2050. And so it's no wonder that the home healthcare industry is one of the fastest growing in the United States. Enter Leap Health. We sat down with the president and CEO of the company to find out why now is the time to purchase the stock. Let's start off by speaking about Leap. What is the company all about?
Leap Health Corp is a home care services business. So essentially we provide home care within the home. So it's mostly elderly people where we provide assistance around dementia care, both home care and home health care. So we're talking about mobility issues, personal grooming, medication reminders, some medication administration, pain management. So it's a pretty wide-ranging number of services we provide, but it typically falls either in a home health or home care bucket.
Based on some numbers that we've seen in terms of population growth and specifically aging population, the demand is going to grow quite substantially in the coming years. Is that right?
That's what we anticipate.
Yeah.
If we look at the industry itself, it's certainly been one of the fastest growing industries in Canada and the US over the last several years. And I believe it'll continue to be that just based on the demographic trend that we're in. When I started the company, I believed that there was such a need in the market and it's such a fragmented market that the opportunity for growth was quite significant.
And you are the founder of the company as well. What was the inspiration for you?
Really comes from a family experience. I mean, if I think back to when my father-in-law was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and quite honestly, I didn't know what to do, and it really in order to help him or my mother-in-law at the time, because I just didn't have experience in dealing with somebody that had dementia and that sort of was in decline, mentally over a period of time. But what I saw was that my mother-in-law had hired a home care agency that provided really, really good service. And just quite honestly, just being nice oftentimes can go a long way. But I thought it was a great way to provide assistance to him when he needed it, but also for my mother-in-law to give her a break because it's a difficult situation to deal with. And so it would have been 9 or 10 months after his passing that my wife and I and a partner had an opportunity to acquire a home care services business in Nova Scotia. So we bought that business. And from going from the personal family experience to providing care to over 100 family members, quite honestly, it opened our eyes in terms of what the demand is in the market, the type of services that we want to provide, particularly around the dementia type service. And then we really looked at the size of the market. What we really saw was, aside from the fact it's been a fast growing market, it's such a fragmented market, and you have founders of privately owned businesses that are also looking at their own succession plan. And so we saw an opportunity to provide terrific service within the home, but also grow a fairly meaningful business. And the strategy that you use is really you go after the secondary markets, is what you call them. Explain that. Yeah, we've entered what are often referred to as the secondary markets, or the more rural areas, so sort of the non-large urban centers. And our focus thus far has really been around the New England states. So we've entered into Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and obviously acquired a business in Halifax, which is not a very large market in of itself. But we find we have great access to caregivers, terrific referral sources, great access to an operating team that is in the home care industry for the right reasons, and that's what's important to us. This is a person-to-person service business. We're not buying large amounts of real estate. It's really the people that we inherit after we've done an acquisition and the client base. So it's all about hiring the right people. Let's speak to the investors now. Why should they be considering your stock at this time? Well, I think if they look at the manner in which we've grown, I think we've demonstrated the ability to, one, really identify good businesses to acquire and then to close on them. And from a pure investment perspective, and I'm a large investor in our business, and so I stand behind my comments. My view is that it's such a fast-growing industry, such a fragmented industry, that our growth, I believe, will be quite substantial for the years to come. Certainly when I started the company, my belief was that we'd grow a very large multinational healthcare-oriented company, and that's still my belief. So I think if they look at our performance in the past couple of years. Last year, I think our stock price was up 56%, which is a good return. And quite honestly, I expect that our growth will continue. So if they look at the demographics and they believe that people require home care, which is what really government policy is dictating, and quite honestly what people want, then I think if they look at getting into a company like ours at a fairly early stage, I mean, we're not a very old company, then I think an investment in Nova Leap at this point in time is fairly attractive.
And currently your properties are all within North America.
Yeah, they're really all within New England or Nova Scotia.
Right.
So that's where we've operated. I think there's a lot of runway for us within the New England states as well as Nova Scotia. There's certainly more areas for us to expand. But I think what investors will see from Nova Leap in the coming years is an expansion outside of those areas. That's certainly my belief.
A lot of investors, of course, are very interested in knowing who is at the helm of a company that I'm investing in. So what can you tell us about your background and education? Sure,
I'm a chartered accountant by background. I worked a number of years at Grant Thornton, had a great job there. I left, I was a vice president with BMO Harris Private Banking, so went from accounting to the sort of the banking realm. I worked there for 5 years. It was a great job. Ran a couple divisions within Atlantic Canada for the private bank. I then started my own private capital markets investment bank. So effectively, I was doing a lot of buy-side transaction advisory work, so identifying acquisition opportunities for large clients, negotiating the deals, arranging the financing, and then assisting with due diligence. So I have an accounting, finance, and transaction background, and throughout that work, obviously, personal family experience, and then acquiring a home care business. That's really what got us involved in the home care industry, and just through that involvement, again, quite honestly, just opened our eyes in terms of what we saw for an opportunity, and that's how we started Nova Leap.
Okay, let's wrap it up with what's next for Nova Leap.
I think what investors will continue to see are more acquisitions. I mean, we've publicly announced that we expect to do another 4 acquisitions in 2019. We had made a similar announcement for 2018 and actually did 5. But I think strong organic growth, which is a focus of ours, and more acquisitions along similar lines to what we've been doing, I think, in terms of how we pay and how we structure deals. That's really what I expect for 2019.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
To learn more about Nova Leap, head to their website, www.novaleaphealth.com. And if you'd like to learn more about high-growth companies, don't forget to subscribe below. Thank you for joining us. I'm Galit Solomon for the Richmond Report.
This report brought to you by the Richmond Club, where investors and high-growth companies meet.
If you've enjoyed this video, please let us know. You've been watching the Richmond Club Report. If you've just come across this channel, please feel free to subscribe. I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting and profitable investment ideas around here. We'll see you again soon on the next video. Cheers, guys. Have an amazing and profitable day.